again, the whole purpose of the podcast, like I was telling Cody, is basically it hasn't been done, like a local photography podcast. And what I wanted to do was just kind of spread awareness or just bring the local photography community together. And what other way to do it with a podcast? All genres, whether it's sports, landscape, portraits, or whatever. I kind of just want to get everybody together, introduce Hawaii to everybody, and that's what we're doing today. So today, Camera Club Hawaii, we've got Princess and Jimbo. Hillside Jimbo. Boom. I have to ask just off the bat, what would you call your style of photography? I know I said I want to introduce people to landscape photographers, to sports photographers, but what would your style of photography be?
I mean, for me, I feel like if I put myself in any kind of box, then I'm already screwed, right? So I feel like I'm the anything photography guy. I'll shoot anything that anybody wants me to. Yeah.
How long have you been shooting?
It's been about 7 years or so.
And how'd you get, just backstory, how'd you get into photography?
So my last job I had was I was working at Apple.
Okay.
And then I started a print business with a friend. And then along with the print business, we bought a camera so we could start, shooting, quality content for our page, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I started shooting the cute chicks I worked with. And man, that thing just blew up from there.
And from that point, how did you find out, hey, this is it, or this is something I'm good at and something that I'm gonna take?
Bro, from when I started shooting to when I quit my job and went full time was like 5 months.
Oh, for real? You knew.
Straight
you
up.
knew.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, this is it, bro.
Was that during a COVID period or even before?
That was before COVID.
Before COVID,
Yeah.
You knew that this was it.
Yeah.
How did you know that, or how did you find that was how do you find your particular group of clients?
Well, honestly, I mean, I've been lucky to a place where my clients find me. I mean, I do actively search new clients, but for the most part, yeah, I get hit up. They hit me
You're
up.
the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been the guy.
Yeah. And that, that kind of leads me to my question for you, Princess. Working with Jimbo, how did you find him and find out, hey, this is the guy that I need to work with?
Interesting story, actually. I had seen Jimbo's work for years. Jimbo has worked with some very prestigious companies in Hawaii. He's worked with a lot of the biggest small businesses. And for a lot of models, I think that it's a goal of theirs to shoot with photographers who have a prestigious title, who have worked with big names, and who are known to put out quality content. Obviously, there are a multitude of photographers in the industry who don't do that. Very easy to come across them, very easy to find a way to shoot with them, but it wasn't the same with Jimbo. Jimbo and I, we were internet friends for probably at least a year or so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Before we ever shot together. And I think our first shoot together was for Farmers in the penthouse.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was it about his portfolio, his work that was like, okay, this is it? This is it, that Jimbo is the guy.
I think that if you put, Instagram is a resume for most photographers, for most people in the industry nowadays. I think that if you put his Instagram feed next to just about any photographer ever, it speaks for itself. If we're talking about portrait style, there's an attention to detail that you're not just gonna find, and it's everything from big things like just coloring, down to the small details of posing or this one little hair, little things like that. When you shoot with Jimbo, it's a completely different experience. It's not just the actual pictures and the vision. Yes, it is the pictures and the vision and all of that, but it's the execution and it's the experience from start to finish that you don't get anywhere else, and that shows in the final product.
Nice. How do you, over time, Jimbo, how do you feel that over time you've been able to create that style, that signature look that all your clients are looking for?
I mean, for me, I always try to get for me, everything starts with the tone curve, you know? And once you get that tone curve right, I mean, you can kind of just, you can kind of play with it, and yeah, it just kind of comes right back to it.
Working with, so many different models, do you find is it easy? Is it tough dealing with so many different wants and needs, or everybody who comes to you trusts what you do and what they get, what you give is what they get?
I mean, for me, every model I shoot with is different. Like, my goal for me in the first 2 minutes of shooting is to show them a photo that they just say, wow. I mean, if you can impress your client in the first 2 minutes, I mean, you're already starting out on top. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how you kind of set the tone
Yeah,
for
you
the
set
rest.
the tone, and you just kind of like, pretty much just set the tone for the whole thing. Yeah.
So with that being said, what is the first song on the playlist to get things going?
Oh, for me personally, it depends on the mood. It depends entirely on what we want the finished product to look like. I need my music to match that to a T, and it'll show in cameras. I think that Jimbo kills it with his playlist. I actually, some of the playlists that I have saved on my music, whatever, are from Jimbo.
Okay, you gotta share that. We gotta share that with us after,
Oh, he wants to play.
It's the ex-girlfriend
Let's go.
actually.
You know what I'm doing after this.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
And definitely, rather than still air or just break, like you said, the first 2 minutes, breaking the ice, making your clients feel comfortable,
Creating the trust.
Creating the trust is all the difference. And I'm glad you said that, Princess, because that's what I kind of also wanted to ask you: is the first 2 minutes, the interaction before. What other things, for models or not necessarily models, but other photographers looking at this podcast, they're like, damn, I want to get into that too. What do I need to do to build that trust with my models? What would be your first suggestion to that photographer?
To take the lead, to be not overbearing, but be strong, to show that you have a strong vision and that your vision can be executed well, but you are open to all ideas. You want it to be very customized to the model's experience, but if they have no idea what they want or what they're doing, they can rely on you completely.
Nice. And what would be, Jimbo, your first suggestion to that aspiring photographer to get into this?
I mean, for me, I feel like the photo shoot starts before you take the first photo, As soon as I pull up, first thing I'm saying, oh, wow, you're so beautiful. Even prettier in person, You
mean it, right?
Yeah, I do all the time. But, it's just little things like that. You kind of set the tone, Me, I'm a big dude, so at first glance, you could be like, oh, who's
intimidating.
This guy? Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, so you pull up always smiling, always bright, leave everything behind at the house.
Nice. I think that's really good suggestions for anybody watching this.
Yeah.
That, again, they don't want to start off wrong, because if they start off wrong, that's their name, that's everything moving forward. Princess, for any models who may just find this podcast, what suggestion would you give them to either this is a good thing to look out for, and what's this red flag to look out for when working with when working with photographers?
I think that question can get really dark really fast.
Go for it.
I think that one of the biggest things, and hopefully the most well-known thing, is obviously if you don't feel comfortable, if you're shooting with somebody for the first time, if you're shooting somewhere for the first time, bring a friend. And if your photographer is not comfortable with you bringing a friend or some kind of support group, whatever, just don't go. There's no reason. There's so many ways to put yourself in danger doing that. Just don't do that. But as far as building a connection with the photographer and kind of testing the waters to see if you can be comfortable, what level of comfortability you can be with these people, just get to know them both ways. Obvious sign of a non-professional photographer is when they turn a photo shoot into a date or anything of this sort.
Yeah.
If there's any question about, is this work, is this professional or not, chances are it's not.
Has that happened to you where you feel like being wine and dine, like, oh, what's going on? So you know what? You know what? Go ahead and tell us about that, because we got a few minutes.
Yeah, feel free to block out as much of that as you want. It didn't get, I mean, it wasn't the full shebang, but, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a very handsome photographer. If we were on a date, we probably would have gone on a date, but we weren't on a date. As far as I knew, I was shooting for a brand, and I don't know.
Got it.
I didn't get my pictures back, so.
Oh, boy. Okay. No, definitely good. You know, definitely a red flag. Definitely other girls should know out there trying to get into this industry that, hey, you know what? If it ever feels like it's going away from the actual shoot, away from the actual product, that this might not be the thing for you. Jimbo, for again, same thing. Any models looking at this, what would be your suggestion telling them coming into a shoot where, hey, you know what, like when you guys arrive at the shoot, or this is what to expect from me, and I need you to bring this.
For me, I just be like, you know, if you have anybody you want to bring, by all means. I mean, you know, I don't want to. First of all, like, oh yeah, you can't bring your boyfriend. You know, I've known photographers who are like, yeah, I was trying to shoot with this girl and she brought her boyfriend. I was like, so
why is that a problem?
Why is that a problem? It should never be a problem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And small stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely good. You know, definitely good takeaways for anybody watching this, whether they're a photographer or a model, because I think that's a big. We're proud. We're on an island. You know, everybody knows everybody, so it's real. You know, you gotta watch what you do. You know, it's your name on the door. Everybody knows. You know, so I think that's really definitely good tips to take away. But yeah, definitely tell me about Farmers and how you started shooting with them.
Yeah, so one night it was a fashion show, and I went there to shoot photos for a friend of mine who was modeling in the show. And I ran into Keone and Raleigh guys from Farmers, and shucks, we just started partying that night, you know. And that night ended up being super epic. I mean, we went to like 3 or 4 different bars that night, and we all went home at like 3 or 4 in the morning. It was just, and then from there they hit me up a couple of days later. Hey, you want to do a shoot for us in the studio? I was like, oh shucks, really? And from there it just took off too, you know.
Nice. And you know, as being a brand photographer, can you tell me about any types of challenges that you have, or any type, you know, being a brand photographer, what is that like? Aside, you know, because that was different from just shooting your portraits or just shooting for a model, right? This one, you have a specific client, a specific look that they're going for. You know, can you tell me about that and any?
For me, I would say the biggest challenge is to remember what you're shooting, because I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna get her in this perfect light and this perfect everything. You get her there, you shoot the photos, and you're all stoked, and you look like, dang, you can't even see the product at all. Yeah, so most of that is like always remembering product first, and you know, everything else just comes after that. But most of it is just remembering to shoot the product first.
How long, you know, once you start shooting with Farmers, about how long do you think, or what was that learning curve like, figuring out it's a different type of style that I need to shoot, or a different type of emphasis that I need to shoot? Like, what did you have to do to kind of get in that mindset?
I mean, for me, shooting with Farmers, I started shooting with them literally like 4 months after I started shooting. So I literally learned on the set with them. I mean,
did they give you feedback?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Was it always good?
No, sometimes you learn, you know.
Right,
what I mean?
right.
And
what was like, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, like, what was like the harshest thing that you got from them that allowed you to be where you are now?
Let me think about that. Harshest thing I learned.
I mean, if there's nothing harsh, there's nothing harsh. I mean, if you hit it freaking.
Most of the times, bro, honestly, I just nail it. Honestly, even when I first started, right. Even when I first started, I just nail it. You know what I mean? That's the mentality. Yeah. When you come in, I look at the photos now from when I started, and when I quit my job. Those photos when I quit my job, bro, those were so horrible. Now I look back, I'm like, yo, that guy was brave. That's.
No, I mean, you know, and that's crazy that I hear that, because as I do more of these podcasts, I talk to these I mean, photographers, you're like your small business. It's independent owners, you know, of their small business. And I hear that word brave a lot. You know, you got to be brave to do what you're doing because, I mean, you have your team behind you, but to get this started from the beginning, bro, it's just you.
Yeah, it really
And
is.
that jump to say, fuck it, I'm just going to do this and execute it well. I mean, I think brave is just a nice way of putting it, but you're putting everything into one basket and it is what it is, you know? And I think that's something that you as a small business, as an independent owner, just needs to definitely deserve credit for, because not everybody knows what it takes to start that.
For
you
me, I've always felt like, dude, this is what you're doing. You better do this thing all out. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I'm not gonna start this business and just kind of do it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna jump in this thing, and I'm going full steam. You know,
And
that's always been my personality.
From farmers, how did that stem to honors? Because I know that's Vegas. You know, I hit that up once they opened in Vegas. So how did farmers transition into honors?
Well,
Shooting
honors,
with honors.
the owner of honors, he used to be one of the owners of farmers, and yeah, when he decided to do his own thing, shucks, I was like, let's go. Yeah,
And that particular look, you know, when I look at farmers, when I look at honors, there's a particular look, and you know that style,
Yeah.
you know who they're going for. You see the models, you see the shots that you get. How, when they had to describe the look, when they had to describe the brand to you, was there any type, you know, like how did that go? Like just no problem, you knew exactly what they're looking for?
I mean, for me, it's just a streetwear vibe, you know. I mean, you can Google streetwear all day long and you'll see all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's no handbook for it. You know what I mean? You're literally learning on the shoot every time you go. Everywhere you go, different lighting situations. I mean, different models. A lot of the models I shoot with aren't models. They're just hot chicks that I find on the ground. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yep,
I have to, I mean, I'm coaching most of the time.
Really?
Yeah, I bust the poses for them. Yeah, I mean,
Damn.
yeah. For me, it's like this.
You have
I'm
to pay
looking
extra
at
for that.
yeah, yeah.
How often do these models hit you up, or have you ever had a girl be like, "Hey, princess, how's this guy? Or is it legit? Is
all
he
the
legit? What is it like?" And just kind of doing that background check on Jimbo.
I would say with most photographers, I have a lot of people who hit me up about other photographers all the time. I think that specifically with Jimbo, they know that we work together. They've seen our stuff, and as soon as they see anything that we've made together, they don't have any questions on it. I think the thing with Jimbo in particular, with all of this, is that he doesn't just take it as a job or as one shoot or whatever, but it's like he said, it's his lifestyle. It's really like something that he's dove into full. And it's not just a matter of making one shoot good or making one brand look good or making himself look good or his feed or whatever it is, but he is constantly educating himself. It is his small business, and he spends a lot of time shooting, a lot of time editing and doing all of this, but he spends even more time doing research on what's not just trending, but why things are as good as they are and how he can do it. The first person to ever teach me about B-roll was this guy.
Oh, really?
When videos started to come out, when Instagram and all of these social media started to switch to video instead of picture, he was already on it. He was trending way before it was.
Nice. So, you know, talking about video, talking about B-roll, you know I asked you about COVID. COVID hit, OnlyFans came up, and that was the shit for now, hot minute. You know, how did it transition from videos to not videos? How did it transition from photos to videos? And how did you make that transition to that type of content?
For me, when COVID hit, bro, it made me realize, like, yo, what you do for a living is kind of a novelty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
Was it pivot, right? You had to take that pivot.
What are we gonna do, right? And I mean, honestly, Princess, I mean, a lot of the dancers were like, they're feeling the same way as me. Like, what are we gonna do, right? So I mean, when OnlyFans came up and Princess started to be like, hey, you know, I'm doing this OnlyFans thing. Hey, let's shoot some, and then she's like, hey, I have my friends coming out.
Was it like a snowball from that
Oh
point?
yes, definitely.
Do you feel that, I mean, I seen your portfolio. I mean, not portfolio, but I seen that Instagram page, and it's like damn.
We pushed the limits a little bit. Nah.
But how did you establish yourself as it? You know what I mean? Because to be honest, I mean, I don't know who else is doing those shoots. You know what I mean? Like, but is that something that it was just word of mouth, or how do you feel that you got up to where you are now at that, you know, shooting that type of content?
For me, honestly, bro, I'm literally always so busy that I literally just keep grinding. When the calls come in to do this and to do that, like, I'm just on it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not thinking about, oh, what should I do? Oh, should I do this? Like, nah, we're just gonna work.
Business
We're
is
gonna put
good.
the food on the
Business is
table.
good. Yep.
And I mean, Princess, I mean, honestly, bro, she kept me alive. You get what I mean? Like, me started shooting OnlyFans with her, and then she started bringing on all her girls, and we all started shooting all this. I mean, like, bro, I can live. Like, bro, we can survive out
Lucky
here.
motherfucker shooting
right.
that during that
Yeah.
time. Shit. Princess, how did you realize at that point that everybody has to make that pivot? How did you realize that this is it?
I always was 1 foot in, 1 foot out of that sort of side of the industry. I actually had a similar site beforehand, but I was just producing different content. When it came to actually working with Jimbo, we were all locked down. Like, we couldn't go anywhere. So it wasn't even just a matter of, like, let's do this, but it was like, who was willing to break out of their house and come over?
And also, I trust you with my life.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, we don't want to get sick.
Because
Exactly.
COVID.
Yeah, because COVID.
Because COVID,
we all
right?
kind of
We're
scared.
talking, like,
right?
first 2 weeks shut
Yeah.
down kind of thing. Like,
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the timeline with
Yeah.
that. But yeah, you literally are saying,
Yeah, because I was kind of
are
scared
we going
Yeah.
to
to see people.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like-
Yeah, and it's on an individual basis.
Yeah.
You could have had, you could
Yeah.
have felt a whole different way about COVID versus
Yeah.
Jimbo here, who's like, no, let me come over. I
Yeah.
mean, we gotta do this.
on
Yeah.
top of that,
Right.
we're breaking these the quarantine rules and whatever. It was all
Yeah, right.
staying in your
Right,
household.
right.
This was like
Yeah.
during the like the lockdown. Don't leave your house for anything except for grocery shopping and only between these hours kind of thing.
They can't lock me down.
Like zombie apocalypse shit. So when we first started, obviously we launched, and the viewers, the fans, the supporters, whatever you want to call them, we're all in the same boat. We're all at home doing quite literally nothing. Very confused.
What's next? What's next, guys?
Exactly. So, I mean, you can't see your people, you can't see your friends and everything. Like, if you want to have this kind of communication, it's online. And thankfully, we all had phones and internet during this time period. But it was that much more convenient for people to just go online. And there was already such a traffic heading that way. So I was lucky in the sense that I jumped on board when it was still just popping off. There are so many creators who decided to step on later in the game, and there's always going to be success in the industry. It just is. But there was just a different type of success when you jumped in at that point in time. When there was nothing
it's
else
way different
going on.
now. I mean, it's way different from now when it was before.
Yeah.
You know.
And with Jimbo pivoting, honestly, I would say photographer-wise, he was industry leading for the state at least. Not so many photographers were willing to put themselves out there, to put their brand out there, their name out there, and say that they're doing this kind of content and have the models promote it, because it can be something that was quite taboo at the time. Obviously now, only a couple years later, we look at it very different. But even just 3 years ago, it was something that was way more hush-hush. You're not very big about it if you are a creator on that site. You're not very big on it if you work with creators on that site. Now it's almost like a flex. And if you haven't worked on OnlyFans, then
I mean, definitely hearing that. Definitely agree. Definitely a flex. And, Jimbo, like, to create that type of content, you have to be able to keep. To me, you gotta be able to keep your shit during the shoot. How do you do it?
How do I do it?
How do you do it?
I
Because
mean,
we're talking about
I mean,
OnlyFans is for like some hotties. How do you do it?
I mean, I have no idea.
That's why I brought you here.
No,
I
for
wanted
me,
to-
honestly,
I gotta tell all
no,
these
for me,
guys.
it's like this. It's like, bro, I'm a man, bro. I love women too.
Wait,
No
okay.
doubt.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I'm single.
Okay, because I'm not saying.
Yeah, that would be a tough
I think
one.
that would have made it even more interesting.
Step
How do you do
one.
it with a
Yeah.
girlfriend?
Yeah.
But okay,
Yeah.
you're saying, all right.
Hella single now.
You got single
Yeah.
the day OnlyFans came out, and you agreed to do the first shoot with Princess, and then you became
Yeah.
single.
It happens. Don't get me wrong.
Now, for me, I mean, when a girl hits me up, she says, "Hey, I want to do an OnlyFans shoot." I'm like, "Well, let me tell you this. OnlyFans, if a girl says she shoots OnlyFans stuff, I mean, it can be from just a bikini to her masturbating on the bed. It's a wide spectrum."
So, are you asking all those? Is that almost like not an interview, but you're asking, okay, what do you want to do?
Yes, for sure. Because for me, I've never been the guy to say, hey, take off your shirt. You know what I mean? For me, every time we've shot stuff like that, it's we've talked about this beforehand, or she tells me, "Hey, you mind if I'm like, well, sure." You know what I mean? I've never said, "Hey, this photo would look better with your top off." You know what I mean? For me, I see that as like that's a little weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
not a
yeah.
little. No, that's not a little weird.
Yeah, right?
That's just weird.
Okay, that's what
okay.
I'm
So I'm
saying.
glad you don't do it, cuz.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just always being a gentleman, you
surprised.
know. Yeah.
So you asked. So during that time, you actually had girls calling you with that specific. I'm sorry, I said girls. It could have been dudes too, but you always had
Could've been
clients. It
dudes.
could have been dudes. You always had clients
Never
calling
dudes.
you. Thank goodness, because if you took those jobs, Jimbo, I'd be like,
I've never shot no dudes on OnlyFans ever.
so
Wow.
yeah.
Actually,
Not that you did, not that you knew of, but once they took it off.
so what are you doing next week? I feel like from a business standpoint and as a photographer, one of the next questions that comes with this is for OnlyFans is what is the compensation on it? That's a big one.
From the model to the photographer, or the photographer to the model?
It goes both ways, honestly.
Okay.
The model's hitting up the photographer. Typically, whoever is starting the interaction is going to be the one to pay. And even from a model standpoint, I'm paying for this content because I'm getting paid for this content.
Right.
And as a photographer,
Not that I know how OnlyFans work.
of course not.
But
No, how could you?
username.
But yeah, a lot of photographers, I mean, if you really want to get the title of OnlyFans photographer, it's not that difficult because there are plenty of creators who are looking for photographers, and if you'll do it for free, you know, some will take that. On our end, that's not really how it's ever been. It's a matter of valuing the person putting out that content and it being a mutual kind of agreement. I've also worked with photographers where we've done trades for that, so they have their own OnlyFans, but Jimbo's really unique in the sense that he has just done it for the models. He's never taken that content and been like, look, you're going to do what you want with the content, I'm going to do what I want with the content. He's always been very upfront with, like, this is yours, this is your sensitive stuff, this is what you're asking for.
Right.
Here
Especially
you go.
what you're going to use. I mean, I would almost think for a model, that's almost like in some sort of writing, like, what are you going to do with this?
Yeah. And there are photographers that don't take it that seriously and that feel a sense of ownership over the content because they've shot it. So that's where, as a model, it's really important to do your research and not just quality over quantity, for sure.
Right.
And the good ones are worth it.
Yeah. And Jimbo's definitely a good one.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah. No, but you know, as you deal with your clients, right, particular models, whether it's Princess or any type of other dudes that you want to photograph, like, what is the understanding between the two of you? Is it like a certain package that you put together, and what is your expectation as a model? What do you get from this business relationship?
For me, every shoot I do is all personalized. I don't have like a cut sheet like, yeah, this is, you can take a look at this and find the pricing. It's more like they tell me what they want, and they tell me how much time they have, and then I tell them what we can do in that time.
And normally when you do those shoots, how big is I mean, is it just you? Is it you have a team behind you? What's going on?
Yeah, for me, when I do those shoots, primarily it's just me.
Okay.
For those shoots, I try to keep it just me. I may need somebody for help with lighting, but I mean, at that point, I'm usually I'm asking the girls if they have friends there or other girls. I mean, because for me, I don't want to bring on more people.
You know what I was just about to say? That kind of speaks a lot for you, because for you to be able to do, as a professional, to do that job by yourself and make sure that you're thinking of the client's well-being, how they feel about that shoot, that does speak a lot for you. You know, you're not bringing like, oh, I'm going to bring my lighting guy who's a dude. I'm going to bring my reflector guy who's a dude. I'm going to bring my...
I've had that happen, and every single time the lighting guy or the reflector guy or whatever this position is, it's his first time. Not even, that, but it's his very first time doing that job. So it's not that he's his co-man or whatever. He's just his friend. He wanted to tag along. That's always the case.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot a hot girl today. Do you want to come with me?
Yeah.
Literally that.
Yeah.
Actually,
that happens.
I'm not gonna lie, Jimbo hits me up beforehand. We make sure it's all cool, and then we're like, all right, we're gonna get a free boat trip out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. You believe? Hey, you would trip on how much free stuff we get.
No, I mean, depending on the brand, depending on the content and the material that you're shooting, definitely, right? I mean, and you look, I mean, kind of circling back to the Honors brand, right? Like, they're not just here, but they're in Vegas, right? Yeah. And the content and the look, the brand and the style that they want to shoot, it's not just streetwear, right? It's way more than that. Yeah. And they're everywhere. Yep. And I think that's what I love so much about the brand, is that it's not just for one particular market. And as a photographer, as their in-house photographer, I'm sure that allows you for just whatever, whenever, whatever they want you for, you know. And that's crazy. That's envious, you know, for me as a photographer. That's like, damn. So
cheers to that. Cheers.
Kind of getting back to the photography part, because this is a photography podcast. Do you shoot out of studio, or like where do you shoot out of mainly?
I mean, I shoot out of my house, really.
Yeah.
I have studios. I have tons of friends who own studios. Yeah.
Just so you know, you can rent this studio. Expressions. We got some background, some lighting that you always can use.
Bro, I like what you got going on.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
no,
but
lots of fun.
For real, like, I mean, as far as what you bring to a shoot, I know every shoot is different, because the brand, the model, they all want a different look, you know. But if you had to say, this is my go-to gear, I mean, what are you shooting with right now?
Go-to gear for photos, I shoot an A7R3.
Okay.
My go-to lens of all time is a 35 millimeter.
A fix?
Yep.
Nice.
I shoot the G Master 1.4 on 35.
When you're normally when you're shooting models, are you shooting wide open? I mean, what are you shooting at?
Typically, I like to try to shoot wide open. Yeah, I try to stay 1.4 to like that 2.0 range. If I'm just shooting one person. If I'm shooting two people, I try to go up to like 2.8 kind of a look. I try to stay as low as possible.
And what about lighting? Like, do you feel that you have a particular style in lighting, or is it always what the model wants or what the client wants, that's what they're going to get?
I mean, for me, if I have to choose, like, say, if they say, okay, Jimbo, what do you want to do? Like, me, my style is natural light.
Natural lighting?
Yeah,
okay.
Natural light has always been my thing. I mean, I can shoot natural light anywhere. I mean,
well, at 1.4, 1.2, you got that lens? What? Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's just not being afraid to push your camera to. I mean, try to keep your ISO at 100, but I mean, if you gotta go up to get the shot, I mean, you gotta go up. You know.
Has it, you know, I mean, farmers, Farmers, Honors, they're big brands. It's not like any type of small game. You know, like what are probably the highest demands that they have from you for that end product? You know, is it, hey Jimbo, we need like a clean shot, 40 megapixels because we're gonna blow it up on this. Is it, nah, just for the website, don't worry, we can clean it up later?
I feel like I'm gonna chime in. I feel like the most demanding part in this is that they're not asking for anything in particular. They almost never are. It's always
They're just leaving it to his creativity and what he comes out with.
It's not a matter of match the brand, match what we've put out before, but it's top your last shoot.
Yeah.
Top your last shoot.
Yeah.
That's tough.
You are your biggest competition.
That is.
It really is.
You know, I just thought about that. I mean, I think to myself, damn, what would I do? You know, just anything that I've done. Like, what would I do different to do it better?
I mean, before when I would get like hired for a shoot, like when I first started, I'd be like staying up all night, freaking out. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Oh my God. And then after a while, it's just to this point. It's like, look, they hired you for a reason. You're gonna go out there. You're gonna get the best photos you can in whatever lighting situation you have. So, really, if you think about it that way, there's nothing really else to do but just do it.
Get out there and do it.
Get out there, put the model
It is
in the best lighting possible, and if that's what you got, that's what we got. You know.
You can say that you put your best foot forward
Yep.
in every aspect of it, from start to finish. There's nothing else to be said.
You know what? I mean, that's a really good way to look at it. I mean, so many times nowadays, the brand is looking at you for so much creative content, so for so much direction that, yeah, it is on you, and what you get. Not what you get is what you get, but pretty much, right? Like what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
You know, if they say, hey, my model is only available from 12 to 1.
That's it.
12 to
For
1.
me, 12 to 1, I'm like, let's go.
Right?
Plenty of time.
Most people, when
We've done,
they hear,
like, 5-minute shoots.
they hear 12 to 1. Most photographers I know, they're like, nah, we can't shoot from 12 to 1. For me, I mean, that's where I feel like I shine. Because,
thrive,
I mean, I've always watched photographers out there, I mean, on YouTube where, I mean, I watched this one guy, he said, if you're shooting with a model and she's available from 12 to 1, what do you got? That's all you have.
Yeah.
So literally you have nothing else. So make the best of that. You know what I mean?
And that's crazy that, you know, you're teaching yourself along the way to be able to shoot in those conditions. Because as somebody who's been shooting kind of long, it's not easy. It's not easy to figure that formula out with natural light or even flashes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're coming in with like $1,500 flashes beating out the sun. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have that kind of budget. And rolling in with a particular budget with a certain amount of equipment and to make it work the way that you do for yourself, the brand, the model, and everything moving forward, I think that's great, man. And kudos to you. That's not much people can do it, man. So, good job. If you had to talk to a model now, you have 1 minute before you have to bounce. If you had to talk to a model now, what would you tell them about whether it's photos or video within this industry?
What I have to say to any model that's getting started or just finding their spot in this industry, as far as creating content goes, it actually doesn't have too much to say with the actual photographer, but everything to do with the money. And I, way back in 2020, wrote an ebook on this, and it was one of the first aspects that I put in this book. But set your boundaries and set them hard. Be honest with yourself and what you are comfortable with, and don't let any amount of money or situations or opportunities sway that. If it's a no to you, it's a no to you, and you need to respect yourself first.
Nice. Holy shit. Okay, you're good to go. You're good. You're all good, bro. We got enough. Yeah, mic drop, the motherfucker. Oh, shit.
Right.
Nah, that's good.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think that's a great note to end on. Because, again, the whole point of this podcast isn't just for photographers. It's anybody in the photography industry, whether or not they're photographers or models, you know, just getting started or just taking away tips just to be better. So, yeah, thank you, Princess. Thank you, Jimbo, for being here, man. Appreciate it, man. Camera Club Hawaii. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, yo.